RIIZE isn't the first K-pop group to deal with extreme fan backlash. However, after being forced to say goodbye to one of their beloved members, the group seems less than happy with their fanbase. In late 2023, RIIZE's Seunghan found himself in hot waters after private photos of him kissing a girl surfaced online. The images, which were leaked from his private account, quickly spread across social media, igniting a huge debate among K-pop fans and netizens alike. While some international fans stood by him, the Korean ones were less than forgiving, expressing strong disapproval of his actions. For many Korean netizens, the controversy wasn't just about Seunghan being in a relationship, it was about timing and optics. RIIZE was gearing up for its debut, and the photos of Seunghan kissing someone in a private setting felt like a betrayal to some fans. Unfortunately, it's not uncommon for K-pop idols to face intense scrutiny over their personal lives, but Seunghan's situation took an especially harsh turn. Most members of the Korean public voiced their discomfort over the leaked photos, with one commenting, this is so unpleasant. They feel like they were taken as proof shots for him to show off in his group chat with his friends. Makes me feel so grossed out." As the backlash grew, Seunghan publicly apologized through a letter posted on RIIZE's official Instagram account where he expressed regret for the situation, acknowledging that his actions had caused harm to his group and disappointed their fans. But despite his apology, the situation only intensified. SM Entertainment, the company behind RIIZE, tried to do damage control by announcing that Seunghan would be placed on an indefinite hiatus. In their statement, they expressed disappointment over the unauthorized leak of the photos, but also noted that Seunghan was deeply reflecting on the disappointment and damage he has caused to his team ahead of his debut. What made the situation even worse was the split reactions between international and Korean fans. While many Korean fans called for Seunghan to leave the group, international ones rallied behind him, with most of the comments like, "He trained and is working hard as an artist. We are in 2023, you should have matured by this retrograde and ridiculous thinking." Even with support from international fans, the calls for Seunghan to leave RIIZE only grew louder. Some netizens even argued that Seunghan lacked the mental toughness needed to be an idol because of the way he quickly hid away following the controversy, even though it hadn't been his decision to go on hiatus. Shockingly, on October 11th, SM officially confirmed that Seunghan would be rejoining RIIZE nearly a year after the initial incident. Fans had been unsure if he would ever come back at all, so news of his return was meant to mark a fresh start for him. However, instead of being welcomed back with open arms, Seunghan was met with intense backlash from RIIZE's fanbase in Korea. Most fans who had campaigned for RIIZE to move forward as a 6-member group voiced their frustration through boycotts and even public protests. The most shocking display of protest came in the form of funeral wreaths being left in front of SM's building, a traditional and somber symbol often used to signify passing or mourning. In this case, it was a clear message from fans that they did not want Seunghan to return and that the group should continue without him. Some people went so far as to wish him harm, saying they wouldn't stop until he was out of the group, even if it meant he would have to take his own life. The public outcry was so overwhelming that just 2 days after SM announced Seunghan's return, they backtracked, revealing that Seunghan would instead be leaving the group permanently. The company then issued an apology to fans, acknowledging that their decision to allow Seunghan to reflect on his actions before bringing him back had only caused more confusion and distress after seeing fan reactions. Seunghan too released a statement of his own where he apologized once again to his fans and his group members, explaining that he didn't want to cause further harm to the group, which is why he has agreed to take his leave. As I reflected on whether I was only thinking of myself and if I caused significant harm to the company and the members, whether it is befitting for me to be in a group that is deserving of so much love, the only emotions that I experienced were feeling worried and sorry. In the end, he ended up stating that stepping away was the best option for everyone involved, despite those who wished to see him stay, as he clarified that he has no wish to create confusion and hurt fans. As the shocking news of Seunghan's departure spread like wildfire, RIIZE found themselves in a devastating situation as the 6 remaining members were forced to deal with the fallout of saying goodbye to their friend. What made things even worse was the fact that the group had been in Madrid performing as part of the KBS Music Bank tour when news of Seunghan's departure was announced. To make things worse and more devastating, they had to return home to South Korea that same day Seunghan left, and their arrival was anything but smooth. Many fans who spotted them at the airport were quick to notice how upset the members seemed. They wore face masks and hats pulled low over their faces, but it was still clear to those watching that they had been crying. As they made their way through the airport, the group was surrounded by an unusually heavy security presence, and they refused to stop for fans. They even took a different exit route to avoid the crowd of waiting fans, leaving through a parking garage, most likely likely to avoid the backlash from the K fans who had dared to show up holding OT6 signs. Things only got worse from there as international fans started blaming Korean fans for the group's emotional turmoil. They asserted that the Korean side of the fandom had been overly critical of him, with one fan commenting, "The members wanted him back. This is so cruel to do. These boys aren't products, they're human beings." Supporters of Seunghan also wasted no time flooding social media with hashtags like RIIZE7, Bring Back Seunghan, and Justice for Seunghan, calling for his return to the group and calling out SM for the way things had unfolded. They didn't stop at just voicing their displeasure. A boycott was organized, with fans pledging not to buy any SM products related to the group. Several K-pop retailers also announced they would stop ordering RIIZE merchandise once their current stock runs out, standing in support of Seunghan. The hope was that if enough people stopped supporting the group, the company would have no choice but to listen to the demands to bring Seunghan back. However, this tension between the two fan bases left RIIZE in a difficult position. Not only were they dealing with the departure of their bandmate and friend, but they were also facing the harsh reality that their own fan base had become divided. It's been an incredibly emotional and complicated time for the group, and while they hadn't directly addressed their feelings publicly, their tearful airport arrival spoke volumes. Many fans pointed out that it's extremely rare to see the boys be this distressed and visibly upset, as idols usually do everything in their power to uphold a certain image. Breaking protocol truly shows that something is seriously wrong, especially since the boys seem to physically try and hide away from the fans who showed up to welcome them at the airport. Fans have also pointed out that the group seems to grow more and more disdain for their fans for forcing their friend out of RIIZE and giving them no choice but to cut all contact in fear of consequences. The airport was only the beginning, as some have pointed out that the group is starting to drop subtle hints about Seunghan's place in the group, as another group member was seen putting up 7 fingers instead of 6 while doing a cat whisker pose. This was only the beginning, as repeated incidents are giving fans more and more proof about how upset and disappointed the group is with their fans' actions. Even changing their 6-member choreo into a 7-member one to leave space for their missing member seems to be more than enough evidence for netizens. Others have also pointed out that Seunghan has actually removed the RIIZE fandom name from his Weverse bio, as some people are speculating that he no longer feels supported by those who call themselves his fans. International fans have even suggested that RIIZE's relationship with their fan base may be permanently damaged going forward, and that their recent behavior reflects how they really feel. One fan put it bluntly as they called out the fans responsible for damaging RIIZE's overall relationship with the fandom, saying that the group will be forced to walk on eggshells for the rest of their career in fear of what could happen to them. For a lot of these fans, the idea that RIIZE would now have to be on guard around their own fan base constantly was deeply upsetting. Some even voiced concerns that the group might eventually disband if the pressure became too much, while some are even hoping for this to happen so that the rest of the boys won't have to deal with the toxic fan base. As things stand, RIIZE has been left in an incredibly challenging position, as they are now forced to adhere to a fan base who got their closest friend kicked from the group, while also trying to console themselves and those who are still mourning the loss of Seunghan. Things have only gotten more widespread since, as even Korean news has now stepped forward to call out Seunghan's Korean antis who have been advocating for his removal. Many people pointed out that things must truly be bad for the group if Korean news has decided to discuss the situation, especially since the main topic at hand has been how idols are not even allowed to be humans who have both good days and bad days. When discussing the Korean fans who are mostly responsible for the current situation, the news segment also made it clear that this isn't normal behavior and that SM's reaction was deeply shocking. They're not the most, they're not the majority, they're just the loudest and a very vocal, loud minority. The fact that they can wield this much power and influence on an artist's career trajectory is shocking. At the end of the day, despite the massive backlash against SM Entertainment, it looks like RIIZE is forced to continue performing for the fans who have caused them damage as the company continues to ignore their feelings.